The 1980s was a different time for American cars, with vehicle size going from large to small, as if Detroit hired a quantum physicist to invent the shrink ray gun. For this 1981 Buick Regal Darrell Waltrip NASCAR tribute car, it kind of represents a whole new way of life, not just for the owner, but for the company that modified it as well. Here on Motorlens, we take a look at what makes this legacy ride full of good looks and cruising good times. This Buick Regal was the feature drawing prize at the November 2007 NASCAR Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway, and is a complete restoration by Muddy Creek Motorsports. The car's show placard says that records indicate that it is car number 5 of 5 reproduced. In the summer of 2007, Mountain Dew conducted a contest in St. Louis, Missouri, where 11 grand prize winners won trips to Miami, Florida. The 11 grand prize winners were then eligible to win the Buick before the start of the then NASCAR Nextel Cup race at Homestead, November 18th, 2007. Winners were randomly drawn to determine the order they would draw ignition keys to hopefully start the Buick. Each contestant picked a key to insert into the ignition, and whoever was able to start the car up wins. Fast forward to 2010, the Regal found a new home with Don Audrain of Northport, Florida.
He took the car to a classic car store in St. Louis, and the car was there for quite a while, and I almost bought it from the classic car store, but I didn't. I had the money in my pocket, and I went in to give it to the guys, and I thought, I can't do this. So my wife was out in the car. I said, come on, we're going down to Florida. So we left, and we were probably, I'm going to say probably at least a year later, I guess. My son and I went to a NASCAR race at Gateway Motorsports Park. And lo and behold, I go home and I'm on Craigslist. And here's this car for sale. Again, on Craigslist. Now it's at the guy's house. He's gotten it back from him. He didn't sell it. Classic car store. So he's got it back home. So that's where I actually bought it from.
And many adventures with the Regal soon followed, such as the Hot Rod Power Tour of 2011. From Cocoa Beach, Florida to Detroit, Michigan.
We took it on the first Power Tour trip it went on was 2011. Back then it was Hot Rod Magazine put on, it was 7 cities in 7 days. So you would drive to a city wherever they chose to start it, and then you would do 7 cities in 7 days, and you would travel, you might 2,000 to 4,000 miles that week while you're on the Power Tour. And they would give you a suggested route to take. You wouldn't have to follow the route. You could leave early, you could leave late, you could, however you wanted to get to the next venue, they didn't care. But we would always try to follow the route the most we could, because they'd get you off the interstates and get you on the 2-lane roads and try to take you through small towns like Northport and even smaller towns. And that was the fun, just riding the back roads and And back then they knew the Power Tour was coming, and they'd be lined up on the street in their lawn chair like it was going to be a parade, which it was, because there was probably 4,000 cars coming past them that day on it. And so that's when in 2011 was the first one we did that. We left Cocoa Beach, Florida, and we ended up in Detroit, Michigan.
Throughout the Power Tour, the Darrell Waltrip tribute car was a star attraction.
In fact, this car, when we got ready to go on in 2011, I was going to take my Grand National, and because our Grand National was down here in Florida. At that time, we had a house in Cape Coral, and I told my buddy, I said, "Yeah, I'm going to take the Grand National." And he goes, "Let me tell you," because he'd done a Power Tour before. He goes, "You take the Grand National, that's fine, but there'll probably be 3 or 4, maybe 5 other Grand Nationals." He said, "Take your Darrell Waltrip car. We know there'll be no other Darrell Waltrip cars on the Power Tour." Okay, so we took it, and after the first day, and of course the Hot Rod magazine, they photograph stuff all day long, from beginning to end. And so in the evening, my buddy calls me on the phone to the hotel room. He goes, "Look on Hot Rod's website and see whose car is the first car on the picture." And it was this car.
This one right here.
Yeah. He says, "I told you so. I told you it would be a hit." I'm glad you didn't take the Grand National.
If you like cars and styling, this Regal just has to grab you. The green and white are a noticeable livery on the Regal's exterior, from the original chrome bumpers to the Mountain Dew ball cap displayed inside the rear. A throwback to the glamour and glitter of 1980s commercialism in American motorsports, where you might say stock car meets road car. One look at this Regal is probably enough to make the mind wonder if there's a NASCAR race happening close by, especially the stick-on letters that say Goodyear Regal on them. And who knows, perhaps enough to tempt the mind into grabbing an ice-cold dew on a hot summer day. While the muscle compartment doesn't have a V8 underneath, this Regal is fitted with a 3.8-liter spark ignition 4-stroke GM Buick V6 and is well maintained and runs like a dream. For Audrine, he said he only went autocrossing a few times with the Regal, and it was a lot of fun. The interior is as clean and mint condition as an 80s Macintosh stereo system. And the same can be said about the Darrell Waltrip signature written on the dash. Even the AM/FM radio is original and is still functional, along with the speedometer displayed visibly for the driver. Legroom in the front measures at 42.6 inches, with a height of 37.9 inches, while in the back has about 36.3 inches of leg space and only 38.1 inches in height, and was completely refitted with Mountain Dew inspired split bench seats. The drive was smooth and comfortable, with front and rear suspension remaining up to date, and the handling has functional power steering. When it comes to braking, stops at the traffic lights are smooth and short. The cornering of the tires and steering feel as if the Regal is one with the road. Takeoff from red light to green light had responsive and smooth pickup from the rear tires. It may not have a hopped up V8 under the hood like its NASCAR counterpart, but this Regal runs and continues to run like a dream, and there's just no telling how much farther this show car can go in its journey.